Good morning, everyone. I am going to take seminar on the topic media access with reduced handshake and distributed packet reservation multiple access protocol. First, we are going to see about media access with reduced handshake. uh, it's nothing but the march. March does not record any traffic prediction mechanism. The RTS packet is used only for the first packet of the stream. In case of Maca, RTS to CTS, CTS to data, data to RTS, RTS to CTS. In case of March, RTS to CTS1, CTS1 to data, data to CTS2, CTS2 to data. In case of CTS packet, MAC address of the sender receiver and the route identification number is there. And route identification number is used to avoid misinterpretation of CTS packets and initiation of false CTS. For example, when node Y received a CTS with the RTID, RTID is nothing but the route identification number which is equal to route 1, it does not respond. The throughput of March is significantly high when compared to Maca, while the control overhead is much less. This is some explanation about the media access with reduced handshake. This is the mechanism of first figure here denotes the mechanism of handshake mechanism of Maca, and the figure to denote the handshake mechanism of Mars. Now I will give some explanation about it. The CTS packet carries the MAC address of the sender and receiver node and the route identification number, that is RTID, for the flow. The RTID is used by the node in order to avoid misinterpretation of CTS packets and initiation of false CTS. Here two routers, route 1 A, B, C, D and E, and route 2 X, C, Y. When node C hears a CTS packet transmitted by node B by means of RTID field on the packet, it understands that the CTS was transmitted by its upstream node. Upstream node refers to the next hop neighboring node on the path from the current node to the source node of the data session on route 1. It invokes a timer T, which is set to expire after a certain period of time, long enough to node B to receive a packet from node A. A CTS packet is transmitted by node C once the timer expires. This CTS is overheaded by node Y also, but since the RTID carried on this CTS is different from the RTID corresponding to route 2, node Y does not respond. In March, the MAC layer has access to tables that maintain routing information. The routing information is nothing but that RTID, route identification number, but the protocol as such does not get invoked in routing. This is the mechanism. The explanation which I given now. Uh, this is example topology. Now I'll explain this. The throughput of March is significantly high when compared to Maca, while the control overhead is much less. When the network is heavily loaded, the average end-to-end delay in the packet delivery for March is very low compared to that of Maca. All the above advantages are mainly due to the fact that March has lower number of control packets handshakes compared to Maca. The lower number of control packets transmitted reduces the control overhead while improving the throughput, since the less bandwidth is being consumed for control traffic. This is the explanation of example topology. This is the explanation which I given now. Next we are going to see about contention based protocol with reservation mechanisms. Protocols described in this session have certain mechanisms that aid the nodes in effecting bandwidth reservations. Though these protocols are contention based, contention occurs only during the resources nothing but the bandwidth reservation phase. Once the bandwidth is reserved, the node gets exclusive access to the reserved bandwidth. Hence, QoS support can be provided for real-time traffic. Now we are going to see about D-PRMA. The D-PRMA is nothing but the Distributed Packet Reservation Multiple Access Protocol. The channel is divided into fixed and equal sized frames along the time axis. The RTS or BI and the CTS or BI are used for slot reservation and for overcoming the hidden terminal problem. If a terminal wins the contention through mini slot 1, the extra M-1 mini slot of this slot will be granted to the terminal as the payload. For voice note, the same slot is in each subsequent frame can be reserved until the end of its packet transmission. This is the frame structure. The frame structure of D-PRMA. Nodes that are located with the radio coverage of the receiver should not be permitted to transmit simultaneously when the receiver is receiving packets. If permitted, packets transmitted by them may collide when the packet of the ongoing traffic being received at the receiver. Though a node which is located outside the range of receiver is able to hear packets transmitted by the sender, it should still be allowed to transmit simultaneously. The above requirements in essence means that the protocol must be free of the hidden terminal and exposed terminal problems. In D-PRMA, when a node wins the contention in mini slot 1, the other terminal must be prevented from using any of the remaining M-1 mini slot in the same slot for the contention. This contention is the requirement 1. Also, when a slot is received in subsequent frames, other nodes should be prevented from contenting for those reserved slots. Now here the reserved slots represents the requirement 2. The RTS-CTS exchange mechanisms taking place in the reservation process helps in trying to satisfy requirement 1. A node that wins the contention in mini slot 1 starts transmitting immediately from mini slot 2. Any other node that wanted to transmit will find the channel to be busy from mini slot 2. Since an RTS can be sent only when the channel is idle, other neighboring nodes would not contend for the channel until ongoing transmission gets completed. This is the frame structure, and also this is some of the important points in the frame structure. In order to prioritize nodes transmitting voice traffic in or voice nodes over node transmitting normal data traffic. Normal data traffic is nothing but data node. Two rules followed in D-PRMA. According to the first rule, the voice nodes are allowed to start contenting from mini slot 1 with probability p equal to 1. Data node can start contenting only with probability p less than 1. For the remaining M-1 mini slot, both the voice node and the data node are allowed to content with the probability p less than 1. This is because the reservation process for the voice node is triggered only after the arrival of the voice traffic at that node. This avoids unnecessary reservation of slots. Only to avoid unnecessary reservation, we are following these two rules. We are following the first rule. According to the second rule, only if the node winning the mini slot contention is a voice node, it is permitted to reserve the same slot in each subsequent frame until the end of the session. If a data node wins the contention, then it is allowed to use only one slot, that is the current slot, and it has to make fresh reservation for each subsequent slot. Next, these are some of the satisfying requirements. The receiver of the reserved slot transmit a busy identification signal, that is BI signal, through the RTS or BI part of the mini slot 1 of the same slot in each of the subsequent frame without performing carrier sense. The sender also performs a similar function, transmitting a BI through the CTS or BI part of the mini slot 1 of the same slot in each subsequent frame. When any node hears a BI signal, it does not further contend for the slot in the current frame. Because of this, the received slot in each subsequent frame is made free of contention. Also, making the receiver transmit the BI signal helps in eliminating the hidden terminal problem, since not all neighbors of the receiver can help from the sender. Finally, after a node that had made the reservation completes its data transmission and does not anymore record a received slot, it just stop transmitting the BI signal, that is busy identification signal. D-PRMA is more suited for voice traffic than the data traffic applications. These are some of the important points in satisfying requirements. Thank you.